Turn around, face the wall.
Now, why would I do that?
I'm taking you on a little trip.
I'm good right here.
Stand up. Face the wall.
If you can't tell me where I'm going, I'm not moving.
The film opens with a tense military operation in Aleppo, Syria, where a team of Navy SEALs silently rises from the water and swiftly takes down 2 armed rebels. Among them is John Kelly. The team soon meets with CIA operative Ritter, who briefs them on their next assignment. Ritter asks for their help in extracting a captured CIA agent being held inside a nearby building. However, tensions immediately surface when Ritter admits he has no clear estimate of how many hostile forces are inside. This lack of intelligence angers John, leading to a sharp confrontation over Ritter's recklessness and vague planning. Later that night, the SEALs move in on the target location with precision. They quietly eliminate a guard, breach the building, and charge upstairs where they come under heavy fire. Despite the resistance, the team efficiently clears the area, killing the armed men inside and securing the hostage. Afterward, John makes a disturbing discovery. The enemies they killed were not Syrian rebels, but former Russian military personnel. Ritter brushes off the revelation without concern. As the team prepares to evacuate, an RPG strikes, collapsing part of the hallway. Though only a few are killed, chaos erupts. Commander Greer falls through the damaged floor, but Ritter refuses to assist her and pulls away. Realizing they are inside a Russian weapons depot and that Ritter deliberately misled them, John and 2 Marines stay behind to fight alongside Greer as enemy forces close in. John drops through the collapsed floor and joins Greer in a fierce firefight against the remaining hostile forces. Together, they push their way toward an exit as enemy soldiers attempt to corner them. John spots 2 men lying in wait and neutralizes them with expert precision before they can react. The pair finally reach the extraction point, where Ritter is already boarding the helicopter. Furious, John demands answers, accusing Ritter of sending them into a Russian weapons facility under false pretenses. Ritter responds with mockery, clearly unconcerned by the danger he put them in. When John grabs him in anger, Greer orders him to stand down. Moments later, Ritter authorizes an airstrike, obliterating the entire arms depot and erasing any trace of the operation. 3 months later, the story shifts to a quieter setting. John is back home, spending time with his pregnant wife Pam, who is 6 months along. The couple enjoys a peaceful gathering with friends at his parents' house. Having recently left the Marines, John is offered a job as a private security contractor in North Carolina, an opportunity he eagerly looks forward to as he prepares for a more stable future with his growing family. The film then reveals a chilling pattern. Rowdy, one of John's former Marine teammates, is at home with his wife and children. When he steps outside to take out the trash, a speeding van suddenly strikes him, killing him instantly. Elsewhere in Atlanta, another former Marine named Keith is stuck in traffic when a vehicle blocks his path. Armed men emerge without warning and open fire, executing him on the spot. Unaware of these coordinated attacks, John and Pam return home from the gathering and prepare for bed. John lovingly talks about their unborn baby girl and tries to be intimate, but Pam is exhausted and chooses to sleep. John heads downstairs to unwind and listen to music, not realizing that armed intruders are outside, cutting the power to the house. His laptop suddenly shuts down, alerting him that something is wrong. He hears a faint creak upstairs and instinctively grabs his gun and flashlight. At the same time, the attackers move up the stairs and enter Pam's bedroom, firing multiple shots into the bed. One of the intruders is killed during the chaos, but the others continue their assault. When John reaches the top floor, he encounters one attacker and shoots him immediately. He kills a second man before engaging in a brutal shootout with the final assailant. Both men are left wounded on the floor. The attacker tries to finish John off, but runs out of ammunition and staggers out of the house. Summoning all his strength, John crawls into the bedroom, desperately calling Pam's name. When he reaches the bed, he realizes she is already dead. Overcome with grief, he clutches the sheets and breaks down, sobbing uncontrollably as his world collapses around him. As John collapses from his injuries in shock, the CIA rushes him to the hospital, where he remains in critical condition. While doctors fight to save his life, senior CIA officials and Marine leadership convene a briefing to discuss the coordinated attacks against the former SEAL team. During the meeting, Ritter suggests that the Marines may have somehow brought this danger upon themselves, and claims the agency is reviewing all possible leads. His tone immediately raises suspicions. After the briefing ends, Greer angrily confronts Ritter, fiercely defending her men and demanding to know what is really happening. Ritter avoids giving straight answers, insisting only that the CIA is looking into it. Meanwhile, John drifts in and out of consciousness, haunted by dreams of Pam before suffering a violent seizure. Days later, he finally wakes up to find Greer standing beside his hospital bed. When he asks about his child, Greer is forced to deliver the devastating truth. Neither Pam nor their unborn baby survived. John breaks down silently, overwhelmed by grief. Once he regains some composure, he demands to know who carried out the attack, stating clearly that the killers were trained professionals. He tells Greer about the dead attacker he found in the bedroom and the one who escaped. All he wants is a name. Greer admits she has no answers, and even if she did, she wouldn't be able to share them. Sometime later, Greer is working in her office when Secretary of Defense Thomas Clay unexpectedly visits her. He mentions that Greer's father often speaks highly of her judgment and then asks a direct question: can John Kelly be trusted? Clay hints that he has a plan forming and wants to know whether John can be relied on if things escalate. As John continues recovering from his injuries, Clay summons Greer to a high-level meeting. Ritter, clearly irritated by Greer's presence, attempts to exclude her from the briefing. During the meeting, Ritter presents a photo of the son of the FSB chairman, who was killed during the raid on the Russian weapons depot. Ritter claims this man orchestrated the revenge attacks against the Marines. As the images are reviewed, Greer notices something troubling. There are only 3 identified attackers. She asks about the 4th man involved in the assault, but Ritter dismisses the question entirely. In a shocking move, he reveals that the CIA has officially closed the case, declaring the score settled. The announcement infuriates Greer. Clay reluctantly admits that if the CIA has shut the investigation down, his ability to intervene is severely limited. Later, Greer meets John for a drink. Aware of his deep mistrust toward Ritter, she informs him that the CIA has abandoned the case. She then shows him the photos of the attackers she managed to obtain through Clay. Greer explains that the 4th attacker is considered a ghost, someone who exists only in fragments. All of their passports were issued by Andrei Alov, a former FSB operative whom Greer describes as completely untouchable. A few nights later, John returns to his house, which remains sealed off as a crime scene. He enters the bedroom and breaks down, overwhelmed by grief as he mourns the loss of his wife and unborn child. Eventually, he goes down to the basement and removes a hidden cache of weapons and cash concealed inside the heater. Upstairs, he prepares his firearm with grim determination before dousing himself in alcohol, signaling that he has decided to take matters into his own hands. John tracks Andrei to the Russian consulate, deliberately stumbling toward the guards while pretending to be drunk. As he argues with security, he watches Andrei slip away in a convoy vehicle. John immediately follows in his truck, staying close behind. While tailing them, he calls 911 and falsely reports that someone in Andrei's convoy pointed a gun at him. Police respond quickly, pulling over the vehicles and unintentionally isolating Andrei alone on the road. Seizing the opportunity, John rams his truck into Andrei's car, pinning it in place. He douses the vehicle with gasoline as Andrei desperately tries to escape, then sets the car on fire. John storms into the burning wreck, shoots the driver, and presses his gun against Andrei, demanding the identity of the 4th attacker. When Andrei hesitates, John shoots him in the leg. Andrei finally admits that John himself was the intended target and that the man behind the operation is named Viktor Rykov. John shoots Andrei in the chest, collapsing his lung, and extracts the name. He then kills him and calmly surrenders as police arrive at the scene. News of the Russian-linked attacks on the former Marines spreads rapidly, but the CIA and the U.S. administration move quickly to suppress the full story. Ritter tells Secretary Clay that he suspects Greer leaked information to John, and he worries about provoking the Russians with the wrong response. Clay disagrees, pointing out that John managed to shake loose information the agency could not, and insists they wait to see what consequences follow. John is now locked in prison, facing a potential life sentence. Greer visits him, and John makes it clear that he has no regrets. He feels completely betrayed by his own government, and the loss of his wife and unborn child is something he can never forgive. He then reveals that he has uncovered critical new information, but if Clay wants to hear it, John must first be freed. Shortly afterward, John hears men speaking Russian outside his cell. Moments later, a guard orders him to turn and face the wall, claiming he is being transferred. John refuses to comply. The guard storms off, and John immediately prepares for a fight. He wraps a towel around his fist, removes his shirt, and floods his cell, bracing himself for what's coming. Armed guards storm the cell, and John explodes into action, violently overpowering them. He seizes one guard by the throat and threatens to kill him unless the others seal the door. They comply, but more guards soon gather outside. Just then, U.S. Marshals arrive, shutting the operation down. They stop the guards and hand John a phone. Greer is on the line, instructing him to cooperate with the Marshals. They are there to lead him out and give him his freedom. Clay, Ritter, and Sarah, the head of the CIA, escort John to a secret black site facility. They demand to know what information he uncovered, and John gives them a single name: Viktor Rykov. Sarah is visibly shaken, insisting that Rykov is already dead. Ritter initially tries to downplay the situation, but under pressure, he is forced to admit the truth. Viktor is alive and is the true leader behind the attacks. When John identifies Rykov in a set of intelligence photos, both Sarah and Ritter grow increasingly uneasy. Ritter argues that Victor must be captured alive, while John insists on joining the operation himself. Clay initially refuses, and Greer unexpectedly supports the decision, claiming John is emotionally compromised. Moments later, however, Greer reverses her stance, warning John that once the mission is over, he will be sent straight back to prison. John reunites with the rest of the team inside a hangar, where they prepare to board a commercial aircraft that will be used to infiltrate Russian airspace before a high-altitude jump. Ritter separates from the group, telling them he will arrive by a different route and meet them on the ground. During the flight, John jokingly calls out Greer for doubting his fitness for the mission, but she admits she was only trying to protect him. John confesses that he believes his family might still be alive if he had left the Marines earlier and never joined the Syrian operation. He blames himself entirely and makes it clear that this mission is personal, brushing off Greer's reminder that it is supposed to be a clean extraction. As the team reaches the drop zone and prepares to jump, a Russian fighter jet suddenly intercepts the aircraft. The Russian pilot orders the plane to change course. When the American pilot refuses, the jet fires a missile, striking the engines and sending the aircraft crashing into the ocean. Greer orders everyone to abandon the plane, but John refuses to leave behind their equipment, knowing the mission cannot succeed without it. As the plane sinks, John dives beneath the water, desperately gathering air pockets and securing their gear. Running out of oxygen, he manages to attach flotation devices to the final bag and uses it to propel himself back to the surface. Exhausted and nearly drowning, John is pulled aboard an inflatable raft by his teammates. With no time to mourn the crash, the squad immediately pushes forward to complete the mission. After reaching Russian territory, the team regroups and makes their way to a designated safe house. As they settle in, John becomes increasingly convinced that Ritter may have played a role in orchestrating the earlier attack. Determined to uncover the truth, John confronts him directly. Ritter and his CIA team are watching news coverage of the downed aircraft when John and the Marines suddenly burst in, holding everyone at gunpoint. Ritter frantically tries to explain himself, but John grabs him by the throat, accusing him of betrayal. Ritter insists that his only objective is to reach Victor and that he never sold out the Marines. After a tense moment, John releases him, and Ritter retreats, visibly shaken. Not long after, the Marines, along with Ritter's team, travel in a van to a building located across the street from Victor's suspected hideout. John scans the area through his rifle scope, carefully searching for Victor. Greer notices his intense focus and grows uneasy, but John reassures her that he is simply observing. The team then begins their infiltration, moving inside the building with John taking point. As they climb the stairs, John tells the others to hold back while he scouts ahead. Without warning, he locks the gate behind him, sealing the rest of the team off as he continues forward alone. Victor steps into the apartment and is met with a room full of corpses. Calmly, he calls out John's name, revealing that he knew this confrontation was coming. As the two face each other, Victor admits that he has been working with the CIA, hinting that everything unfolding is part of a much larger scheme. John promises that Victor will pay for Pam's death and presses him for answers, urging him to keep talking so the full truth can be exposed. Instead, Victor declares himself a patriot and reveals a bomb vest strapped to his body. Before John can stop him, Victor detonates the explosives, killing himself instantly. The rest of the squad rushes in moments later. John informs Greer that Victor had been waiting for them all along. Suddenly, gunfire erupts from a hidden sniper, and one of the Marines is critically wounded. Unable to locate the shooter, John uses a shard of broken glass to spot the sniper's position and directs the team accordingly. He lays down suppressive fire as they attempt to reach their injured teammate. Just as they move, a second sniper opens fire, forcing the team to narrowly escape and take cover outside the building. Two local police officers arrive on the scene, but before they can intervene, the snipers gun them down in cold blood. Watching this unfold, John realizes the trap they have fallen into. Someone wants American forces to discover dead Russians on their soil, and if John and his team are killed here, Russian authorities will find American soldiers dead in Russia, igniting an international conflict. As the rest of the team lays down suppressive fire, John blasts through an interior wall and forces his way into the neighboring apartment. He deliberately draws the sniper's attention, giving Greer the opportunity to flank the target. Greer storms in to ambush the shooter, but the fight quickly turns personal when she runs out of ammunition. The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand struggle. Despite being physically overpowered, Greer refuses to back down. Using sheer determination, she manages to knock the man off balance and drive a blade into him, killing the sniper at close range. With the immediate threat neutralized, the team attempts to exit through the lobby, only to discover the building is completely surrounded by police. Escape is impossible. John quickly formulates a plan to divert attention so the others can get away. Greer initially refuses, but John reminds her that he is already a convicted felon and the only one who can be left behind without triggering an international incident. Reluctantly, Greer agrees. John heads to the rooftop and unleashes chaos, hurling grenades and opening fire to draw all attention to himself, buying the rest of the team precious time to escape. Police units eventually corner John on the rooftop, but he fights back with lethal efficiency, killing several officers and forcing the rest to retreat. gunfire strikes his sidearm, knocking it loose and forcing him to dive through the roof to avoid capture. Inside the building, John struggles with the soldier, kills him, and seizes his rifle. He storms down the stairwell, firing relentlessly and sending enemies scrambling in panic. With no other option left, John arms a bomb hidden in his bag. Moments later, a massive explosion rips through the structure, engulfing the area in fire and smoke. Using the chaos as cover, John disguises himself as a Russian soldier and hijacks an ambulance. He drives back toward the hideout, where Greer immediately recognizes him and helps him inside. Without delay, the squad evacuates the country by boat. Reflecting on everything that has happened, John remarks that Victor was merely another pawn, and that the true masterminds may never be exposed. He assumes his fate is sealed and that prison awaits him again. Instead, Ritter offers him something unexpected: money and a chance at freedom, arguing that they stand a better chance of uncovering the conspiracy if John disappears and operates as a ghost. Sometime later, Secretary Clay is seen dining comfortably while watching news coverage detailing rising tensions between the United States and Russia. After excusing himself to the bathroom, leaving his security detail behind, Clay is suddenly confronted by John. John calmly describes the failed operation and the larger conspiracy surrounding it. During their exchange, Clay inadvertently reveals that he knows far more than he previously admitted. That slip confirms John's suspicions. Without hesitation, John grabs Clay by the throat and renders him unconscious. Clay awakens inside John's car, his hands restrained. John demands to know why Clay orchestrated everything, but Clay initially refuses to speak. John coldly threatens that if he stays silent, he will go after Clay's family and force him to watch them die. Faced with no escape, Clay finally confesses. He claims he did it to make America great again, believing the country is strongest when locked in war. After hearing the truth, John buckles his seatbelt and drives the car straight off a bridge into a river. As the vehicle sinks, John tells Clay to say Pam's name. When Clay does, John watches him drown, without emotion. Submerged underwater, John envisions reuniting with Pam in the afterlife. The film then cuts to the funerals of both Pam and John, staged to make the world believe he is dead. Greer accepts the folded flag on behalf of the family and returns to her car, where John is waiting. Using the recorded confession between John and Clay, Ritter blackmails the government into granting John a new identity. In the final scene, John says goodbye to Greer at a train station, preparing to disappear and begin a new life from the shadows. And that is how it ended. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.